Welcome back to Lost Days Gaming. Today we're diving into a world of Remnant 2 to uncover the best builds for solo play. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or newcomer, these builds will help you conquer the toughest challenges on your own. Let's get started. Alright, first off we have the new Genesis bow build. This is a personal favorite that I have been absolutely having tons of fun with. This consists of using the new Genesis bow that was introduced in the Dark Horizon DLC, and of course it has the full-on potential at 7,000 plus DPS. Let's take a look at the build real quick. We have Hunter in the prime archetype, and then we have Gunslinger in the secondary archetype. That way we can enhance our DPS and our weak spot and range damage. And then, of course, the armor is totally up to you, but I have the full cyber set with, all the Narud cyber armor. I have the Profane Heart relic, so that way we get some lifesteal with the insane amount of damage that we are doing. Of course, the Genesis, the bread and butter of this build, with the Supercharger Mutator, and also the unique mod Mega Drive that shoots entanglement projectiles onto targets. Now, as for the melee weapon, I like using the Krell Axe with Tainted Blade to put a debuff onto enemies. This is a fan favorite, as most of you know. And then over on the handgun, we have the Corrupted Rune Pistol with Deathbrand and Fetid Wounds to apply another stack of corrosion. And then moving on to the jewelry, we have the Zero Divide Amulet. This gives us infinite reserve ammo and increases our range damage by 15%. So it gives us a buff in damage, and we don't ever have to worry about popping an ammo box. Moving on to the rings, we have Burden of the Destroyer for more damage. And then we have the Ring of Flawed Beauty for more weak spot damage, Archer's Crest to decrease our charge time for the bow, and then Xania's Mouse to further increase that weak spot damage. And then as for the traits, we have Longshot and Ammo Reserves, and then we have Fortify, Vigor, Expertise, Barkskin, Siphoner, Glutton, Chakra, Leech, and I put the rest of the points into Spirit. And now for the fragments for this build, I have range, crit chance, weak spot damage, and range damage, and of course if you have a better prism, then you can further enhance this build. And that is pretty much it for the Genesis bow build. Now moving on to the next one. Alright, next up we have one of my personal favorites that I was able to clear the Gauntlet Challenge on Apocalypse, and that is the Havoc form build. Yes, even still with the nerfs, this build absolutely slaps. Let's get right into the build. Alright, so starting off we have the Invoker as our primary archetype using the Way of Keula, and then of course Archon with the Havoc form, as of course this wouldn't be a Havoc form build without the Havoc form. And then moving on to the armor, I have the Labyrinth Helmet, the Disciple Mantle, the Bruiser Boots, and the Labyrinth Gauntlets. Moving on to the relic, I have the Diverting Heart to further increase our skill cooldown, especially in between fights, and it's good for boss rush while we're in between going from killing enemies and also to the boss. Monolith for the long gun with Spellweaver to further decrease our skill cooldown. This is a fantastic addition for this build. Hunter Spear with Tainted Blade, so we have multiple stacks of corrosion. And then the Nebula with feedback, that way we can get our mod back pretty quickly. And then for the amulet, I have the Jester's Bell. Casting a mod or skill increases all damage by 15% for 20 seconds, and it increases cast speed by 35%. The cast speed will affect the how fast the lightning comes out of our lightning hands, so having this is a really cool DPS and also a damage increase because we'll be casting mod and skills constantly. Moving on to the rings, I have Burden of the Destroyer for further damage because we're not worried about range. And then I have a Burden of the Gambler because we're not worried about weak spots. It increases our crit chance and our crit damage. Crimson Dreamstone for more damage. And then finally the Shade Stone to further increase our skill damage. And as for the traits, we have Gifted and Flashcaster from our archetypes, and then of course we got Fortify, Regrowth, Triage, Swiftness, Strongback, Vigor, Siphoner, Chakra, Leech, and I put the rest of the points into Expertise. And then as for the fragments, I have Skill Crit Chance, Skill Cooldown, and Skill Damage. Alright, so the last build that I want to show you guys is the Corrupted Explosion build. I recently just posted this build up on the channel, but if you guys are loving explosions here recently, especially with the changes to mod generation and with some new trinkets that they gave us in the new DLC, then this build is for you. So without further ado, let's get right into the build. Alright, so first things first, we have the Archon as the primary archetype with Reality Rune. You could use Chaos Gate if you want more damage. And then I have Minion Reaver because I like sacrificing him for cluster bombs, and that is fun as well. Leto Mark II for the helmet, Fetter Tier chassis, the Bruiser boots, and the Technician gloves, along with the Tranquil Heart as my relic. Now, you could use something else in this slot, like you could pair it with the Profane Heart if you want more lifesteal because of the insane amount of damage that you'll be doing, but either one is fine. I like running Tranquil Heart along with Triage to get a good health regen setup. As for the primary, we have the Corrupted Aphelion, of course with the Micro Nova, shooting the 5 Shattered Star Orbs, and then Harmonizer to increase our mod damage. Your melee weapon can be whatever, I like using Dark Matter Gauntlets. And then Corrupted Aphelion with Failsafe, that way we have a chance of not consuming a charge. Paired that with Reed of the Vaunt, this also increases our mod regen and also has a 20% chance to not consume a charge as well. Burden of the Destroyer for more damage, Blasting Cat Ring for more explosive damage, Singed Ring, that way we do more damage to burning enemies, and then Burden of the Gambler, because again, we're not worried about weak spots, just worried about the mod damage. As for the traits, of course, we got Flashcaster and Regrowth, but we have Triage, Kinship, Fortify, Vigor, Spirit, Amplitude, Bark Skin, Glutton, and Insight. Of course, you want to be running Kinship so you don't hurt yourself or your minion as much. As for the fragments, we have critical damage, mod crit chance, and mod damage because we are just going to be spamming our mods over and over again. And there you guys have it. That is a few of the solo builds that I like running here in Remnant 2. Of course, there's still tons of new items that I'm still looking for, and I'm always curious of what new builds I can come up with. And of course, I want to hear from you guys as well, so please drop down in the comments below what build ideas or what tweaks you would make to some of these builds to, further enhance the gameplay as well. I'm always looking for those comments and love chatting with you guys. So without further ado, guys, if you guys want to drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel, we got more Remnant 2 content coming your way. And of course, if you want to get early access to videos such as this one, visit the links down in the description below so that way you can become a member and also join our Discord to, of course, join our gaming community, as we love to have you guys. We are going to be starting doing events and maybe some giveaways here soon, as I want to be able to give back to our community that is helping us grow here on YouTube. So join our community, love to have you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Deuces.